For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell with Windham and Mason Smith, and this is 3 and Out. Guys, we witnessed a heartbreaker in Knoxville this past weekend as Alabama lost to Tennessee by a final last-second field goal, 52-49. But that field goal wasn't what ultimately spelled Alabama's doom. There were mistakes made by Alabama all throughout the game, and today we're going to highlight those. As sad as it might make Alabama fans, this game wasn't a perfect one for the Crimson Tide. Let's start with you, Katie. What mistakes did you notice that Alabama, committed that they should really work on moving forward?
Yeah, I think it might make Alabama fans sad, but I think they're well aware of the mistakes the Crimson Tide made. Pretty frustrating with them if you take a look at any form of social media after that game. I think one area that Alabama needs to improve in this last stretch of the season, if they kind of want to continue on, an SEC championship and potential playoff run, is in special teams. It was pretty strong. It was kind of ironic after the Texas game. I wrote something about how special teams kind of helped them win that game. Obviously, world record made the last second field goal against Texas, and then they had the block punt in that game. But in this game on Saturday, obviously there was the huge mistake on special teams with the muffed punt or whatever you want to call it. The more I go back and watch that tape of what Key Robinson did, it looks like he was trying to pick up the ball and run. I don't think he actually thought it was a deflection he needed to fall on. And then, obviously Riker missed a field goal at the end, which it was a long kick. And you can go back and look at the play calling that led up to that to have to even kick a 50-yarder. But there was also Alabama wasn't ready for the onside kick against Arkansas. They've missed a couple kicks the last couple weeks. And so, Saban talks a lot about how special teams can be a huge momentum shifter or swing in a game. They determine field position a lot. And, it was pretty crucial in some of the points that Tennessee scored on Saturday and that Alabama didn't score. And so that's an area that, special teams encompasses a lot of different areas, but it's an area in itself that needs to improve for the Crimson Tide going forward.
I agree 100%, Katie. And kind of continue with that, one thing that's kind of concerning to me in terms of a nuanced part of the game is the penalties. Alabama set a new school record with 17 penalties against Tennessee this past Saturday. And that's a record that's this since 1995. They're last in college football with 66 penalties. And honestly, on the road, they really struggled with that all season. They had double-digit penalties every road game this year, whereas at home they've had no more than 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. So one thing they really got to keep in mind going on the road, going forward, is just making sure you can, adjust to those hard snap counts, adjust to, the crowd noise and all the atmosphere and intensity that goes along with playing on the road. I think that's something they're going to handle, no problem. But that is definitely something that Nick Saban and company need to focus on heading to the next game.
Yeah, for me, in preseason we talked about this Alabama defense and how, on paper it had one of the best rosters we've seen at least since 2016. And so far the front seven has done a solid job, but these defensive backs really need some work. Through 7 games they've given up over 1,300 yards. They've allowed an average of just under 200 yards per game, which is 31st in the country. They allow almost 12 yards per completion. So, granted, this past weekend, this is Hendon Hooker we're talking about, who looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, but it wasn't just Hendon Hooker that's given Alabama problems. They've struggled through the first 7 games at defending the pass. Defending the rush, they've been pretty solid, but if their opponent throws the ball, it's really they can really give up some big gains. So I'd like to see some improvement in the defensive backs. They have a deep enough roster. It's just, do they have enough talented roster? I think they do. They just need to grow that over time. But that'll about do it for BamaCentral.com. This is Joey Blackwell with Windham and Mason Smith. This has been 3 and Out. Thank you so much for watching.